and gentlemen. Welcome back to the panel forum with me, Ms. Iman Shuhada. As usual, our forum is practically narrowing on a topic about academics, political, and also social spheres in our community. So, for today's topic, I bring to you is: should the government implement universal basic income to reduce economic inequality? So let us go deeply. What is actually universal basic income? It is basically the amount of money that the government implement to do and give everyone, regardless any background that they are coming from. As we confront rising living costs, technological disruptions, and also widening wealth gap, the idea of universal basic income, or UBI, has emerged as a potential policy tool for addressing systemic economic imbalance. So, to unpack these important questions, we are privileged to have with us today a diverse and highly accomplished group of panelists, each offering a unique perspective from their area of expertise. Let me take a moment to introduce to you one by one. First of all, on my right, we have Ms. Aisha, a senior advisor with Ministry of Finance Malaysia. With over a decade of experience in fiscal policy, public budgeting, and also economic strategy, Ms. Aisha has played a key role in shaping national financial planning. Next, beside Ms. Aisha, we have Dr. Vanessa, a distinguished sociologist from University Malaysia Sarawak, specializing in social inequality, welfare systems, and marginalized communities. For your information, she has published several research papers on the intersections between social protection and community empowerment. She also regularly consults on issues of social inclusion. Moving on to the beautiful Miss next to me, Miss Fakiha, a dynamic entrepreneur and board member of the Small Business Associations in Malaysia. She has spent over 15 years working with micro and small enterprises, particularly in the areas of digitalization, workforce development, and also local entrepreneurship. As someone who actively engaged with SME community, Ms. Fakiha brings first-hand insight into challenges and opportunities facing small businesses owners today. Last but not least, I bring to you the honored Professor Valerie, a senior economist and policy analyst at the United Nations Development Programme Malaysia. With over 10 years of experience in macroeconomic policy, human development, and international development finance, Professor Valerie has worked across Southeast Asia to advise governments on strategies to reduce poverty and promote inclusive growth. So, ladies and gentlemen, along with us today are the experts who are going to share their opinion either UBI should be implemented by the government or not. Without further ado, let us start with the first panelist from my right, which is Ms. Aisha, that is coming from Ministry of Finance. Please welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and good day I bid to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for the opportunity to discuss on should government implement universal basic income to reduce economic inequality. From my ministry, we totally second this motion because what we see is that universal basic income is a powerful tool to promote fairness and stability to both economic and society. Universal basic income is a regular and unconditional income to everyone. This means that the government will give the same amount of cash to every citizen, regardless their background. So everyone will receive the cash with no string attached. So I believe that most of the audience still in vague about what is actually universal basic income and how can it help in our real life problems. So don't worry, I will walk through with a few of examples. So imagine a single mother with a few children that needs to work very hundreds of jobs to just put a food on the table. So with the existence of universal basic income, she can actually fulfill the basic necessities like food, rent, and so on. So at the same time, with UBI help, she can actually spend more time with her children, giving both attention and affection to her children. And then the second example would be the fresh graduates. UBI can actually give them a breathing space for them to attend various interview, to hunt a job that they actually want, and to suit themselves with the work. And then they get to choose that the job that they really want. So they will leave the job, not just like work there just to survive. And I take the closest example, the university student, which ironically need to deal with a few of commitment despite not having income at all. So universal basic income will help them to cover most of their meals, rent, internet plan, and so on. So they don't need to split themselves into 2 or 3 to work part-time, to do this work and so on. So they can actually strive their academic and focus more on the just academic stuff. So these are a few of small examples how UBI can actually affect our daily life. And for you all information, universal basic income is not something new in global economy. It has been implemented in a few places before. So I will give you a few of evidences and the result. So universal basic income has been implemented in Stockton, California. And the result is that the recipients of universal basic income actually secure more full-time jobs. And while in Hudson, New York, the employment rate actually increased from 29% to 63%. So this contradicts the claim of universal basic income kills and eliminates the work ethics. It's actually enhance more productivity and boost the increase of the employment. So this mirror what we want Malaysia to be. And then from our ministry itself, we see the universal basic income as a result of economic structural changes in the long term. The reason why I said so is because first, it serves as economic resiliences. We never know what are going to happen tomorrow. Some of us might lose the job. Some of us might fall into sudden illness and accident. So with universal basic income, it acts as a safety net for us to prepare for the unfortunate event. It acts as a barrier for us from not falling to a deeper poverty. And then the second reason why I said so is because it increased the quality of human capital growth. Well, like I said before, with the fund of universal basic income, people can actually get the education that they want and upskill themselves. So the quality of human capital in Malaysia could be increased. And lastly, the job stability and matching. With the income given, we can actually have more time to seek for a better job instead of just jumping from one to another. So having a stable job means we can perform better. So this can boost the productivity of working in Malaysia. So to conclude, I could say that universal basic income is not just the government giving money. It is actually a form of investment in people. And we see universal basic income is a foundation. It's a foundation to Malaysia to be more efficient and more inclusive towards everyone. So from my own opinion, I believe that universal basic income deserves an open-minded consideration to be implemented here in Malaysia. So I think that's all from me for now, and I'll pass back the floor to Ms. Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aisha. It was a very wonderful explanation, wonderful opening for our forum today. Let me summarize what she had explained just now. So basically, she, as the Ministry of Finance, sees that universal basic income as a powerful tool to reduce poverty, to narrow the income gap, and by offering a regular unconditional income to all the citizens. Basically, UBI can provide a safety net, just as like you mentioned just now, to strengthen the household stability and also to support the financial resilience. So thank you, Ms. Aisha, for that comprehensive explanation just now, and I hope it can bring the long-term potential for our country. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from the minister's side. Right now, let us move on to our second panelist, Dr. Vanessa. So from your perspective of sociologists, what do you think? What do you think on the progress of UBI to implement in our country?
Good day, everyone. My name is Dr. Vanessa. I'm a sociology lecturer from University of Malaysia, Sarawak. It's an honor to be a part of this wonderful discussion today, where we will discuss on whether we should implement universal basic income to address economic inequality. Personally, I support this idea because in sociology we learn that inequality is not just about unequal income, but about unequal access to opportunity, education, and power. These inequalities are often reproduced through institution norms and policies. I personally agree with this statement because UBI challenges the idea that only those who are in formal employment deserve support. UBI also reflects fairness, dignity, and inclusion, which are key principles in sociology. Firstly, from a conflict theory perspective, UBI redistribute economic power by giving marginalized groups more autonomy and reduce class-based domination. Why do we need to redistribute economic power? Because the Department of Statistics Malaysia published the Economic Report 2022 notes that in 2020, income shares for the B40 and M40 group declined to 15.9% and 36.9%, while the D20 group share rose to 47.2%. This widening gap highlights the needs for structural reforms like UBI to promote social equity and justice. Alright, secondly, UBI helps redefine the concept of work. Many of the B40 groups, especially women, contribute through unpaid roles like caregiving and informal work, which are often unrecognized in the government policy. Therefore, UBI validates this contribution by enabling individuals to engage in caregiving, learning, or even entrepreneurship without immediate financial pressure. Just like Ms. Aisha had mentioned just now, when UBI is implemented, they don't need to worry about whether they need enough funding to continue their education or to start a business. Next, from a functionalist view, this enhances stability and engagement because it meets the basic need of the people in work, education, or even community life. This is supported by evidence from Finland and Kenya's UBI pilot, where UBI actually improves the well-being of the people and also decision-making without reducing their motivation to work. Thirdly, UBI is actually a long-term investment in human potential. If financial insecurity is reduced, it allows people, especially youth and low-income individuals, to pursue education, training, or self-employment. This can increase productivity and upward mobility over time. And sociologically, this aligns with the concept of social mobility, where all individuals, regardless of their background, have the opportunity to improve their life outcomes. So, to sum up, UBI is not just an economic policy. It is a social intervention that addresses systemic inequality, recognizes all forms of contributions, and also promotes long-term social progress. If UBI is implemented wisely, it can make Malaysia more inclusive, more resilient, and just. I hope audience can grasp insightful information from me. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Vanessa, for your thoughtful and insightful contribution. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us integrate a little bit. So, between what Minister just said just now and what sociologists said just now, from a sociological perspective, UBI is actually goes beyond addressing income. It actually goes beyond the money. It tackles deeper systematic inequalities, and also it access education, opportunity, and also power. So our sociologists here emphasize that UBI, they promote fairness and dignity by supporting everyone, including those in unpaid or informal roles, often overlooked in policy such as caregiver and even women in the B40 group. Thank you, Dr. Vanessa, again for your sociological perspective and valuable insight on how UBI could transform social dynamics in our country. Without further ado, on my left, we have a very an experienced woman who is working in small businesses. Let us hear what is her opinion towards the implementation of the UBI in our country. Let us welcome Ms. Fatima.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. I'm Fatia. As a representative of Small Business Association, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on a topic that touches both heart of economic fairness and the heart of our business community. So back to the question, should the government implement the universal basic income to reduce economic inequality? So let's begin what is UBI, Universal Basic Income. So, like Miss Moderator just said right now, UBI is a fixed amount of money that given regularly to all citizens with no string attached. So supporters believe that it can reduce poverty, simplify welfare, and give people financial freedom to invest in education, family, or to start your own business. So it's simple, it's bold, but how would it really work or impact the small businesses or the community that we serve? Small business not just a storefront. We are local cleaners. We are the repair shop, independent contractors, and are the community's employers. So we create nearly half of all private sector's jobs in this country. So any economic policies must consider our role, including universal basic income. So let's look at the potential benefits of universal basic income from our perspective as small business. So first, it can increase consumer spending. When people have more financial stability, they are likely to spend money in their communities, at their local stores, farmers market, or even at small service providers. So that's a direct benefit to a small business. UBI stable income reduce the reliance on the high interest of credit or emergency loan, making consumer more financially healthy, and that's good for everyone. So next is second, UBI could empower entrepreneurship. So many people dream to start their own business, but they cannot afford to take the risk giving up a steady paycheck. So UBI can guarantee income could provide a safety net that potentially create a new generation of innovators and job creation. So why the idea is promising? There are some serious concerns that must be addressed. So the first concern is how UBI be funded. Okay, if it results significantly higher taxes on the small business, many of which struggling with rising costs and thin margin, could lead to layoff, reduced growth, and even business closure. So we cannot afford solutions that leave one part of the society but while sinking another. Next concern is potential impact on the labor market. So particularly in entry-level and part-time job position. So it's critical to small business from retail clerks to kitchen staff to delivery drivers. If UBI is too generous without encouraging employment, it can reduce labor supply in sectors that already face hiring challenges. We cannot find work if we cannot find workers. Our ability to grow and to serve our community is limited. We're not against the ideas of UBI. We are open to innovation, but it needs to be part of larger and more balanced strategy, one that includes investment in job training, education, healthcare, and even childcare. So, policies that strengthen both workers and business that employ them. Should the government implement universal basic income? Maybe, but not without small business at the table. So, if done right, UBI could strengthen the economic fabrics of our society. But if it done poorly, it risks unraveling the very communities it aims to protect. In conclusion, UBI could help reduce inequality and support local spending, but we need carefully plan to avoid harming small business, and we as a small business must be part of the conversation to make sure the policy works for everyone. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Wow, it was an amazing opinion and insights from Ms. Fakiha, our one and only small businesses owner over here. So basically, Ms. Fakiha already highlighted that UBI could increase consumer spending and support entrepreneurship by providing the financial stability. Am I right? However, you also raised the concerns about the funding, especially when the business owner need to pay the tax, and also maybe the potential impacts on their labor supply, especially whenever they want to have the entry-level jobs. So we take your opinion very truthfully. Thank you, Ms. Fakiha, for sharing the concerns and also the businesses' impacts on if UBI implement in our country. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have here from three of the panelists. Let us move on to the last but not least panelist. Let's hear from the Professor Valerie, who is actually the economist in this lineup, to share her insights and also to share her opinions about the UBI implemented in our country. Please,
Okay, so good morning everyone. So it's a true pleasure to be here today with all the panelists and the audience. So my name is Valerie and I am honored to serve as the Senior Economist and Policy Analyst with the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, in Malaysia, here in Malaysia. So I look forward for our discussion and sharing insight with all of you, including this one particular concern which is from Ms. Fakiha about the taxes. So I will be discussing about the taxes, mainly about the taxes for today. So to start off with, Malaysia actually struggling with significant amount of economic inequalities, where some people have more money than the others, which is a very normal thing in our society nowadays. So this is clearly seen in the Gini coefficient, which is higher in many wealthier nations such as Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya compared to the outskirts such as Sarawak. On top of this, the official poverty figures might be undercounting the true extent of hardship, especially among vulnerable non-citizens due to lack of data collection. The existing social protection system also fragmented and inefficient, leading to gaps in coverage despite substantial government spending. In a world facing technology changes and economic shocks, a stronger and a more streamlined safety net is also essential. So I'm going to explain why UBI is very important and could help in Malaysian economy. Basically, a UBI, a universal basic income, is a regular, unconditional cash payment to all citizens, no matter what status are you, no matter how your basic income are. It could help a powerful tool for Malaysia because it directly addresses poverty by providing a financial baseline, just like what Dr. Vanessa just said just now, and it helps lifting individuals and households above the poverty line. Beyond just reducing the poverty, UBI has also been linked to actually improve a physical and mental health. And because most of us nowadays, we are all stressing about financial, not enough money. So it actually eventually it reduced all the worker stress and increase the life satisfaction. It could also streamline Malaysia's fragmented welfare system, and it cutting down on administrative costs and reducing the stigma associated with receiving aid. Just like what we have the stigma nowadays, which the only people that deserve to receive the financial aid from the government is B40. So even if the upper from B40 is also deserving, it's also considered as an insult or like a stigma to receive the same financial aid from the government. So furthermore, UBI can also boost economic resilience by giving people in unstable or informal jobs the security to pursue education, training, or entrepreneurship, fostering economic growth and human capital development. Just like what Ms. Fakia just mentioned just now, we not only want to introduce or implement the UBI to Malaysia, we also have to do a proper preparation beforehand, such as we introduce education so the UBI that they will receive later is also deserving for all individuals. But there is also challenges for this smart approach. Not everything is very perfect. There's two sides in the coin, because implementing UBI is actually a very fiscal cost, which is it's very money costing, and the potential inflation and impact on the labor market is very significant. So, the immense cost for a meaningful UBI would require a significant new revenue. There is also a concern that increased disposable income could lead to inflation, eroding UBI minimal negative impact on work or the purchasing power. Because imagine when all people have the same amount of money and we can buy anything, the inflation will also increase, and because everyone has the right to and the power to purchase whatever they want, so the product or like the market price will also increase as well. And while many UBI trials show that UBI isn't advisable to be done immediately, but instead Malaysia actually should approach a phased evidence-based approach, which means that we don't have to just directly implement UBI and expect it to save our nation. No, we just have to build it one by one, and we will do a pilot test to see what actually we really need and whatever the UBI is also suitable to be implemented in Malaysian economy. This means that we have to start with, just like what I said just now, a careful design pilot program that targeting vulnerable group to gather local data. Just like what I said just now, the reason why the government is very concerned about implementing UBI is because we don't have a very secure data collection. So in order to implement it, we have to gain the data first to see what the Malaysian citizen actually really needs and what we can target actually. And it also involved in comprehensive microeconomics modeling to assess cost and impact, strengthening data infrastructure for a better monitoring, and exploring innovative financial options like social dividend from public or progressive tax reform. But the most importantly, actually UBI should be complemented by policy that control inflation. The inflation part is actually undeniably will happen, but with policy we can control the inflation rate, so the others outskirt citizens won't be affected too hard. By invest in education and job creation and mainly targeted social program. And to finish off with my talk for today, I think that Malaysia should foster a broad public dialogue that is very crucial to build consensus and manage expectation. Just like what I mentioned, this UBI program is a phased program, so you cannot expect an immediate result from it. And this adaptive strategy actually aligns with the goal of building a more equitable and resilient Malaysia. So that's all from me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Valerie. It was a very informative explanations coming from you. And I also agree that in general, UBI actually can reduce poverty, can improve well-being, but we also need to be alert that in Malaysia, they should start with targeted pilots, strong data analysis, and also sustainable funding plans in order to implement UBI. Now that we have heard from all of our panelists, so ladies and gentlemen, please take a deep breath because just now we have ended the first round of our forum for today, and now we are moving on to the second round, which is where the panelists will ask each other questions to further explore this complex issue. What is actually the decision that country or government should implement, either we should implement UBI or not. So without further ado, because we have constraints of time, any panelists who would like to know deeper about the point of view from other panelists may volunteer.
I have a question for Ms. Aisha. So the question is, what are the key steps taken by the Ministries of Finance to design, implement, and sustain UBI policies in Malaysia?
Thank you, Ms. Fatah, for the question. From our ministry, we will actually approach UBI with a long-term and well-planned strategy. This includes 3 phases: research, implementation, and also sustainability. So in research, we will include various analysis, including cost benefit, economic modeling, and also refer to the global pilots in the country that have been implemented UBI, such as Kenya and Finland. So with all the research, we will match it with local simulation by collecting data in our country. And then some of the panelists actually concerned about the funding. So the option of the funding from our ministry include a progressive tax, carbon taxation, and also reallocation of inefficient subsidies. So this will fund the UBI at the first phase. And also don't worry, our ministries won't work in isolation. We will have a various consultation. We will consult with the economists, labor unions, businesses, including small businesses and also civil society. This will help the system to be fair, efficient, and inclusive to everyone. And then one of the suggested model is the net UBI system. This is where the richer and high earner will return back the initiative in the form of taxes, while the lower income and those in need will get to enjoy the incentive fully. And then once we are done with the workable model, we will move to legal amendment. There's a lot of amendment for us to do, including the taxes to match with universal basic income and the society's welfare. And then moving on, delivery is the key. So we will actually use the digital mechanism using MyCard so that the incentive will reach the eligible recipients securely. And then talking about the audits, the policy, don't worry. UBI is not static. We will actually make a review every 2 to 3 years. So the UBI amount is not going to be fixed throughout the whole time, but it will change according to inflation, according to the country's GDP, and so on. So from my side, I think our ministry is not just the funder, we are actually the planner, the executor, and the one who will sustain it. And I believe that UBI should actually be implemented in Malaysia because it's a system not just about giving money to the people, but it is a system that promotes fairness and make the economy more resilient. And I hope that everyone can support the implementation of UBI because it can lead to more inclusive Malaysia. I hope that answers everyone's concern, especially Ms. Fakia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Aisha. So basically what she mentioned just now, delivery is the key. Just like what she delivered to us, very clear, very particular, very answerable for Ms. Fatiha's question. I really hope that you stay in minister for a long time because we need this kind of minister in future. So to sum up her answer, I believe that the system will be monitored and adjusted regularly to stay effective, to stay fair and responsive to the future challenges, of course, and specifically for our future citizens. So let's move on to any panelists who would like to ask any questions. Anyone?
Basically, I have to answer the concern for Ms. Aisha. So basically, her concern is how we can solve the inflation, in which we have to be funded by the high corporate taxes and a new consumption tax that would likely to reduce the Gini coefficient and improve the income distribution by providing a very consistent economic flow. But in this case, there are some individuals might opt out from the low wage job and slightly reducing some participation in some sector. Just like what I said, in this case where everyone have the same amount of income, some people they just don't want to do their old job anymore. Maybe it's too hard for them. Maybe it's a 9 to 5 job that they don't want. So when we apply UBI in Malaysia, in which the government will give all of us the universal basic income, which is equivalent, many people will opt for a more easier and job because we will also be paid fairly. So, but I really hope that in long term sustainability, such as we actually have this UBI program plan since 2023, and then the plan will go on until 2027 for the pilot test. So for my last hope is, I think that the long-term sustainability would also depend on the economic growth and tax compliance and careful management of the public spending. And it also, I'm just going to be honest and transparent, it also requires a very strong political will and transparent government. So that's all from me today. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was very insightful additional information from our economists. Basically, actually, I have a question to Dr. Vanessa. As a sociologist, what do you think the society or the citizens out there relies on this UBI?
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Basically, you are asking whether
Either the inequality needs or actually major social relates to the economic problems in UBI.
Okay, I understand your question. So, from a sociological standpoint, justifying the cost of UBI goes beyond simple budget calculations. It requires looking at the broader social and economic impact. First, we must recognize that the cost of inaction is very high. When economic equality grows unchecked, societies may face poverty, poor health outcomes, higher crime rates, and social unrest. This problem carries huge social and financial costs that will strain public service, reduce productivity, and undermine social cohesion. For example, the countries that are continually face hardships and wars due to economic crisis is Sudan in South Africa. Thus, investing in UBI is also investing in social stability and long-term economic sustainability. Second, UBI can streamline and simplify the welfare system. Currently, many governments, including Malaysia, run multiple overlapping aid programs that are costly to administer but somehow fail to reach all those in need. Therefore, I humbly request our Minister of Finance to check whether these overlapping aid programs is functional, and also to consider UBI as its solution. Thirdly, funding UBI does not necessarily mean that overall budget. UBI does not necessarily mean increasing the overall budget dramatically. Like our Minister of Finance said, it can be financed through progressive tax, where high income earners contribute more, or by reallocating subsidies and tax breaks that currently benefit the wealthier groups disproportionately. This approach is aligned with sociological principle of redistribution to reduce systemic inequality. Finally, from a functionalist perspective, when people have financial security, of course they are healthier, better able to access education, and more productive in the long run. This also increases human capital and ultimately benefits the economy as a whole. So, to sum up, while EDI may seem costly upfront, it is a strategic social intervention that can reduce people's social problems and also foster a just and productive society. Viewing UBI as purely as a budget expense misses its potential to create long-term savings and social benefits that can strengthen the entire nation. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vanessa, for the question. So, anyone who would like to
I have a question to Ms. Fatima. In your opinion, do you think that UBI can promote people to entrepreneurship or to self-employment?
Okay, yes, I believe UBI can help more Malaysians become entrepreneur or self-employed. And here's why. Many people, especially from the B40 and lower M40 groups, don't have enough saving and the support from their family to start a business. Leaving the job is risky. So, not everyone have courage to take the risk. So UBI can help by giving a steady income every month, so people feel safer to try starting something new, like an online shop or freelance work or even small cafe. So we have seen this during the pandemic. Many Malaysians start small business from home, like food delivery and sell things online. They did this out of need. Imagine how much better they could have done if they had some financial support. So UBI can turn this kind of business from way to survive to long-term choice. Second, it also reduces the fears of failure. Many people don't try new things because they are afraid of failing and having no money left. If they get some income, even the business didn't work out, they feel more confident to take smart risks or to try new ideas. So UBI can lead to more innovation and creative problem solving in our country. So UBI alone is not enough. They still need help with things like business license, using digital tools, and managing money. UBI can help them start, but they need support to grow, to succeed. In the end, UBI can be great way to encourage more Malaysians to follow their dreams, to grow spirits of entrepreneurship in our country. So that's all from me. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you, Ms. Fatia, for the insightful answer just now. Maybe we can have one last question from any panelists to the panelists.
No. It's already 43 minutes.
Alright. Okay. Because of the time constraint, let's conclude the panel-to-panel discussion. We will now open the floor to the audience for a short Q&A session. Please raise your hand if you have any question.
You just say that the UBI can help people who from the low income to take their risk to start their business. But without the preparation and the knowledge about the business, how that the UBI can really help them, or maybe they take the risk and take the money from the UBI to start their business, and it can lead them to fail in their business and lead to more loss of their money and their family incomes.
Okay. Alright, let me make it short. Your question just now. So basically, in small businesses, so how they want to avoid a failure in business if the UBI implemented. Anybody?
I would like to answer your question. So basically, your concern is without a proper education, you afraid that you are going to fail in your business, although you have been given the UBI just like everyone else, right? So basically, just like what I mentioned just now, if you actually listen attentively, I said that actually the government will be implementing some program beforehand before they just give the money, because just like what Miss Aisha just said just now, it's not about just giving money bluntly like that. It's actually a strategy which actually will help for the Malaysian economy. So we will providing education like we will gather all the small business entrepreneurship SME, and then we will give them trainings like multiple months, around like 3 to 6 months before we actually approve the UBI implementation for them. Is that answer your question?
Thank you.
Any question from the floor? Is there any question? No question from the floor? Again, ladies and gentlemen, if there is no question from the floor, we have reached to the end of today's forum. This has been a rich and informative discussion about universal basic income, and I would like to extend my heartfelt thank you for all the panelists besides me for sharing their expertise, and of course for the audience who engaged with us today. Let's go back to home, continue to reflect, debate, and collaborate as what we invite for the equitable Malaysia in future. Thank you and have a great day.